Hey everybody, Gary with Basecamp Trading. Let's take a look at how we were trading gold today. Gold gave us some really nice moves both to the upside and to the downside today. So we come in the morning on our London session and we take a look at our 30-minute chart. This is a 30-minute chart. And just prior to the London Open, we had these two really strong bullish bars to the upside. London opens, get a little pullback. We set up a bull flag. The bull flag triggers and gold continues to work higher. Have a nice bullish bar here, nice bullish bar here, and we come up into this area where we have that final push to the upside and experience some exhaustive buying. We leave the topping tail. This bar closes as a shooting star. The next bar triggers the shooting star to the downside, suggesting that the move to the upside is probably over. Gold continues to work its way lower. Our bias is definitely to the downside at this point, only looking for short setups. We move lower into the U.S. session. We have a news announcement. Gold kind of bounces around a little bit right in here off the news announcement. But this bar closes red, telling us that the 5 EMA has now crossed the 13 EMA to the downside, suggesting that this move to the downside is gaining steam. And our momentum is confirming that. We cross off to the downside here off the shooting star and continue to weaken as we go, again suggesting that the move to the downside is gaining strength. Gold makes this initial push down, sets up the bear flag. The bear flag triggers, and then gold drops like a rock. So let's take a look at what that looks like on our Unirenko charts. We come in the morning right in here. This was that initial push up prior to the opening. We get the pullback, get our wick out of the cloud. We're above the smooth 50. 30-minute chart is still bullish, above the 34 EMA, and we get long in here. We take this for 4 targets off, which is 40 ticks plus, or $400 per contract plus. We get a pullback in here, and gold is actually starting to look kind of bearish on our Unirenko chart right here. But there were some things happening on other charts that were suggesting to us that gold was probably going to actually continue to the upside. For one thing, stocks were selling off, and while we know that's not 100% correlation, here recently it has been stocks down, gold up, stocks up, gold down, and that was definitely the case today. Gold was also finding support right here at the smooth 50 and off the MQ trend dots. The other thing that was happening was our 2-minute chart was giving us some buy signals. We had a little compression right here, broke to the upside, set up a 2-minute bull flag. That bull flag triggers and sends prices higher. So because of what was happening on the other charts, we actually got long here. Again, this is not a normal setup for us, especially off of a red bar, but because of other things that were happening on other time frames, our bias is still to the upside. So we get long in here. And we take this for a few targets, and then we actually add to our position right here and continue to ride this to the upside. Ultimately, we took our runner off at 85 ticks on this trade. Right here in this area, this is where the shooting star was forming in gold. We came down here and actually set up a trend reversal breakout on the Unirenko chart. We had this higher high, came down, made a pivot, put in a lower high, and then broke this pivot to the downside, making a lower low. So we ride this trend reversal breakout down for a few targets off, get a pullback, take this wick out of the cloud to the downside, get a few more targets, another trigger off the 34 for a couple targets, wick out of the cloud for a couple targets. Again, our bias is to the downside. All this is in the context of a shooting star that had triggered lower. So we were just looking for short setups. We come into this area here. This is where we get the news announcement during the U.S. session. Gold actually bounces and kind of bounces around, but our bias is still to the downside. 30-minute chart is bearish, and really we're only interested in short setups. And this is is all taking place with that bar that ended up closing red in the 5 EMA crossing the 13 EMA to the downside. We get some downside setups, and we're taking short setups, taking targets along the way. And then we come into here. In this area here, we get this little bounce back up. And this is where that 30-minute bear flag triggers, right in here. And when that triggers, gold just drops like a rock. And then we ride this south in a big way. We take this trade ultimately for 250 ticks on one of our runners and 350 ticks on one of our other runners. So again, the value of having our higher time frames in conjunction with our Unirenko charts and a profitable morning trading gold.